everybody, this is Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert, a NASCAR podcast, coming from you live from Daytona Beach. What a fun time in Speedweeks already, just an absolute blast. Last Tuesday in New Smyrna for the Clyde Hart, was at the duels last night, great racing. Now the field is set for the Daytona 500. We'll go over our predictions for each race, plus interviews with ARCA driver Jake Finch and Truck Series driver Dawson Sutton. So pumped to be back at Daytona. Great energy and vibes going around. That and so much more on this episode of Splash of Gas. As always, we are sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for updates from the track and during the week. Instagram and Facebook are both Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Now available on Twitch as Splash of Gas _ Dave Weichert. Please check that out for some live Splash of Gas. Let's get this episode going with trivia time. As we gear up for the Daytona 500, this episode question is, we know Lee Petty won the first 500 in 1959. Who was the first driver to win back-to-back Daytona 500s? Answer coming at the end. Moving right along, discussions with Dave. Way too early championship predictions. First for the Truck Series. When thinking about this, I truly contemplated one of the two Front Row Motorsports trucks driven by Lane Riggs and Chandler Smith. But I just don't think the numbers lie and the clock will finally ring for Heim time come Phoenix. Corey's been an overachiever at the truck level for several seasons. He should learn from his mistakes that led him to not win the championship in the past, specifically from last year, and put together a full body of work this season. Best of luck for Corey. Xfinity Series, sometimes when you try something for so long, you get close but are still unsuccessful, but then you finally achieve your goals, I think success will reign. I think that's the case of Justin Allgaier. He's the glue of junior motorsports. Just got that feeling that Justin is going to go back to back. We'll see how the predictions bode throughout the season. Now for our Cup Series championship predictions. Team Penske has won the last 3 championships at the Cup Series level. I see that streak ending this year. Just with how competitive Joe Gibbs Racing and how Hendrick Motorsports has been, it's crazy to think it's been that long since they've each last won a championship. As we can go back and forth about different teams and drivers, the championship will be won by the driver with the best performances in the playoffs, specifically in the round of 8 and round of 12. We've seen this driver be clutch in crunch time before. My prediction, I think it's going to be Christopher Bell to get his first championship this year. We'll revisit these predictions as the season moves along. Moving right along brings us to NASCAR history time. We mentioned on last episode the 2025 NASCAR Hall of Fame induction ceremony kicked off February 6th with the Blue Jacket ceremony. Carl Edwards and Ricky Rudd were officially given their honorary jackets in front of current Hall of Famers and many more. Last episode, we went over the career of Carl Edwards. This one will go over the career of NASCAR's Iron Man, Ricky Rudd. There are no other ways to describe Ricky Rudd besides tough as nails. Known as NASCAR's Iron Man for more than a decade, the Virginia native held the Cup Series record for most consecutive starts, 788, before Jeff Gordon broke it in 2015. His 906 series starts rank second to Richard Petty's 1,185 starts. During his 32-year Cup Series career, Rudd posted 23 wins, 194 top 5s, 374 top 10s, which is 7th all-time, and 29 poles. One of the few successful driver owners In the modern era, Rudd won 6 races for his Rudd Performance Motorsports team he operated from 1994 to 1999, including the 1997 Brickyard 400. Ricky, the 1977 Cup Series Rookie of the Year, earned a best points finish of second in 1991. He scored at least one win in 16 consecutive Cup Series seasons from 1983 to 1998, which is tied for the third longest streak ever in Cup Series history. Rudd was named one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers. Congratulations on making the Hall of Fame, Ricky. Now, moving along, Daytona 500 qualifying and duels. Go over the format. 4 NASCAR drivers and possibly a 5th will miss the 2025 Daytona 500. With 45 cars on the entry list, several drivers will not qualify for the race. There is 9 open cars vying for the Daytona 500 spots. Corey LaJoie will drive the 01 for Rick Ware. Justin Allgaier will drive the 40 for Junior Motorsports, making their Cup Series debut. J.J. Yealy will drive the 44 Chevy for NY Racing. Martin Truex Jr. driving the 56 for Tricon Garage. Anthony Alfredo will drive the 62 Chevy for Beard Motorsports. Chandler Smith is set to drive the 66 Ford for Garage 66. BJ McLeod will drive the 78 for Live Fast Motorsports. Jimmy Johnson will drive the 84 Toyota for Legacy. And Helio Castroneves will drive the 91 for Trackhouse. The fastest 2 drivers among the open cars in the single car qualifying session on Wednesday will lock themselves in to the Daytona 500. The rest will have to race their way in come the duels. The top finishers in the 260-lap duel races will then lock themselves into the field. On paper, this means that 5 drivers will fail to qualify. That might very well prove to be the case, but if one of those 5 drivers, ends up being Helio Castroneves, then only 4 drivers will fail to make the race on Sunday. Single lap qualifying for the Daytona 500 will get underway Wednesday evening. The 2 drivers of the open cars that would qualify on speed Wednesday would be Martin Truex Jr. and Jimmy Johnson. And we know Helio Castroneves is already locked in with his provisional, meaning 6 drivers will be going for 2 remaining spots in the duels. The rest of the qualifying would actually go on to make history, with Chase Briscoe winning the pole, giving the first Daytona 500 pole ever to Team Toyota. Austin Cindric will be on the front row in the Team Penske Ford after qualifying second. The 2 dual races will get underway with the split field, half racing in the first and the other half racing in the second, Thursday night. The first race, compared to the second, had much more yellow flags with a few wrecks occurring. Bubba Wallace would go on to win the first dual race. After an exciting finish with a big wreck at the end, we originally thought Eric Jones was the winner of the second duel, but it was ruled that the yellow flag was called right before the drivers crossed the start-finish line, and at that moment, Austin Cindric had a nose ahead Jones. A little awkward for Eric Jones as he parked his car on the start-finish line thinking he won, but after review, NASCAR would make that change, giving Austin Cindric the win in the second dual race. Now for Fast Davies bets. Have 1 500 bet and 2 Truck Series bets on this episode. Truck Series, let's dive right into it. Caden Honeycutt to finish in the top 5 is plus 260 right now. He won the Snowball Derby in December of 2024, and he's going into his first full-time season at the Truck Series level. Expect him to be up front in that Nice Motorsports truck. Another top 5 bet, Gio Ruggiero, the rookie in the Tricon Garage truck, is plus 700 to finish in the top 5. Might be a little bit more of a long shot compared to Honeycutt, But Ruggiero driving that fast Tricon garage truck, if he can stay lucky and keep that truck clean, he might be at the front at the end. Daytona 500, top 3 finish bet, Ross Chastain. Ross is plus 600 to finish in the top 3. He's finished second in the 500 before. Think that's a solid one also. Before we get started with our predictions, we'll start with ARCA. Unfortunately, a friend of the podcast who's been on several times, Chase Pintano, he was slated to drive the Venturini Motorsports car. The qualifying and practice Thursday evening would get canceled due to rain. So the starting positions for the ARCA race on Saturday would be based on 2024 points. And Chase, it was just racing the one race for ARCA Daytona, and he did not get a provisional, unfortunately. So Chase will not be in the ARCA race on Saturday. Bummed about that. I was really looking forward to seeing Chase race on Saturday. Unfortunately, that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes in racing. Was texting with him. He was really upbeat and positive. Will be worth the wait to see him on track next time. Now for the ARCA predictions. All 3 of the ARCA powerhouse cars of Venturini Motorsports will be in the mix, with those drivers of Isabella Robusto, Jake Finch, and Lawless Allen. Spire Motorsports will field a Hendrick Cars.com Chevy. Corey Day will be at the wheel. He was top in the Xfinity practice. Expect that Spire car to be fast and ready to go. The 2 pinnacle racing entries of Butterbean Queen and 4-time Indy 500 champ of Helio Castroneves will also have a good chance. Andy Jankowiak, he's fresh off that indoor midget car championship this offseason. Andy always seems to turn it on at the end of these races, and we know that Andy will be standing on that gas pedal as well. We know anything can happen in Daytona, but for ARCA, anything can happen literally every turn, every lap, with so many young and new drivers to Daytona. If the drivers can keep their cars clean, they will have a chance at the end. And when it comes time, I think it is going to be Venturini Motorsports car of Jake Finch to get the win. Was lucky enough to talk to Jake before the Clyde Hart on Tuesday. The driver from Lynn Haven, Florida, is the son of famed NASCAR crew chief James Finch. Jake turned laps in go-karts and late models before competing in ARCA starting in 2022. Here's what Jake had to say about his chances come Saturday.
Jake Finch here at the Clyde Hart Memorial 200. How you feeling for tonight, man?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Just got a long way to go. Kind of messed up in qualifying and didn't get the lap that I wanted, but I think we'll be all right later in the race.
Gotcha. How are you feeling for ARCA come Saturday?
Yeah, pretty good. I feel like I don't feel like this track ever owes anybody anything, right? Daytona being, but I feel like if it owed somebody something, it would be me, right? With how last year went, I feel like I definitely need to go there and get my trophy. I feel like it's mine to go get and just got to go pick it up.
You look solid in the practice. We were there in January. Do you feel like you're going to pick up right where you left off with those fast Venturini cars?
Yeah, I feel like me and Shannon Rush work really well together and just built a really good bond with him. And I feel like we had the car to win there last year and had the car obviously to win in Talladega. So I don't expect much different this weekend.
10-4, awesome. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was great to talk to Jake. During our conversation, you can see how focused Jake is for Daytona in the ARCA car and how much he wants to redeem not winning last year. Before we get into the predictions for the Truck Series on Friday, I was able to talk to Dawson Sutton, who will be competing full-time in the Truck Series for Rackley War, driving the 25 truck. Been talking up the young driver on past episodes. Expect big things eventually from the young driver. Dawson won the late model race at Kern County, beating out Kevin Harvick in January when ARCA West was there as well. Here's what the driver from Lebanon, Tennessee had to say.
Dave Weiger here with Dawson Sutton. You ready for the Clyde Hart 200 tonight, man?
Yeah, it should be a good night. We got a good backup car here. We just unfortunately destroyed the other car the other night, but I think our crew, lined up a good race car, and I think we have a good shot for 200 laps tonight.
10-4 had that come-behind win at Kern County. Think you can build off that momentum?
Yeah, I think we can. It's been a good past couple of weeks with winning at Kern County, but overall we're just going to move our momentum into Daytona Friday night and hopefully go have a good shot at one here tonight, and hopefully just have a really good season overall.
Heck yeah, you're going to be running that Rackley truck for the full season this time. You said you're ready for Daytona. You ready for that grinding full season?
Yeah, it should be a good time. It's definitely going to be a learning curve, getting to some of those bigger tracks, super speedways, and Atlanta, and some of those cooler racetracks that I have dreamed a bit about racing at. So it's definitely going to be a good learning curve, and I'm really just looking forward to kicking the season off.
Awesome, really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Awesome. Appreciate it.
Neat to see how excited Dawson is for racing at some of the tracks he watched on TV as a young kid. Now for the Truck Series predictions, fresh from Florida 250. Past Series champ Ty Majeski, Ben Rhodes, and Matt Crafton will all have their chances. Be on the lookout for both of those front row trucks of Lane Riggs and Chandler Smith, each with multiple wins at the Truck Series. Could it be Heim time in Daytona? Can the driver with the most wins last season start off with another one, driving the 11 Toyota? He's been out of the trucks for a little while, but give me front row motorsports driver Chandler Smith to win the truck race. I think he's got a fire underneath his butt with not getting another Xfinity ride from Joe Gibbs after being there last year, and I think it starts off with him in victory lane. Now for Xfinity predictions for the United Rentals 300. Going in for me, this race and the storyline should be even bigger than it has been, but Austin Hill, can he make it 4 United Rental 300 wins in a row? He's been so hot at the beginning of the last 2 seasons. Will he be stopped? There is a lot of solid options to do so. Let's look at those. Harrison Burton takes over the 25 Xfinity seat for AM Racing after being in the Cup Series for the last 2 years for Wood Brothers, winning the August 2024 Cup Series race at Daytona. Can AM bring the speed a good super speedway driver of Burton needs? Last year's champ Justin Allgaier always seems to be up front at Daytona. He'll have a chance if he can keep that car clean and avoid a wreck. Jeb Burton, cousins of Harrison, will be back in the 27 for Jordan Anderson Racing. Jeb has 2 career wins from Talladega. Can Jeb do it under the lights in Daytona? 88 whiz kid of Connor Zilich. He'll have his chances this year. Can he start it off in Daytona? Of all my predictions, this is going to be the biggest of the underdogs. But Big Machine Racing has been increasing the speed of their super speedway packages in past years. Parker Kligerman, who was the driver in past seasons before leaving full-time racing, was a road course ringer and still a solid racer. But Nick Sanchez, even though he's young, he seemed to always play his cards right on the bigger tracks. He did win last year's Truck Series race at Daytona and showed a lot of maturity compared to his previous season. My Xfinity prediction for the United Rentals 300 is Nick Sanchez. Now for the big one, the predictions for the 2025 Daytona 500. One of the things that makes the Daytona 500 such a spectacle to watch is that any driver entered truly has a chance to win. So many options to pull from. To win the 500, drivers must be smart, patient, and have a little bit of luck. Been going back and forth between several drivers, maybe a veteran, a Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, or even a first-time winner like Ryan Preece or Josh Berry. At the beginning of this week, I was truly set on picking Brad Keselowski as the winner. Those Roush Fenway Keselowski cars have been real fast and picking up speed since Keselowski joined that team. And they're typically up front on those bigger tracks. I'm still going with the RFK car, but I just don't think it will be Brad's year. Daytona, as Jake Finch said, doesn't owe anybody anything, but a driver that has paid into the track with his wild flipping ride through the grass 2 years ago. This driver truly embodies the racer mindset. The Splash of Gas prediction of the 2025 Daytona 500 is Ryan Preece. Best of luck to all the drivers and teams competing. Can't wait for a great race come Sunday. And that wraps up all of our predictions for Daytona, bringing us to the end of the episode. That means it's time for trivia answer time. This episode's question is, we know Lee Petty won the first Daytona 500 in 1959. Who was the first driver to win back-to-back Daytona 500s? The answer? No other than Lee's son, the King, Richard Petty, who would win his third and fourth 500 in back-to-back fashion in 1973 and 1974. As always, we are sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He'll be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for on-track and midweek updates. Instagram and Facebook are both Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Now available on Twitch as Splash of Gas _ Dave Weichert. Please check that out for some live Splash of Gas. We'll be heading back to the track in a couple hours for all the festivities for the Truck Series race, plus the rest of the weekend. Just so excited to talk to more drivers and fellow fans of the sport. Splash of Gas out. Enjoy the Daytona 500, everyone.